A portion of this video is sponsored by Wondrium. Hey folks, Dr. Frank here. Not a real doctor. And I'm here to diagnose your weird side. Okay, so each of the 16 personalities has a strange and secret fascination. Something each type tries to hide from other people. Maybe even hide it from themselves. The only problem with trying to keep your weird fascination a secret is that you're likely to end up trying to indulge in your fascination in a weird, roundabout way that ultimately never gets you to where you want to be. So prepare to be a little embarrassed as I uncover the thing that your type is so fixated on.
Secretly.
You think it's a secret, but I know. Isn't that right? What's your name? Isn't that right, Gatsby? Before I expose each type's weird fascination, I'd like to thank Wondrium for sponsoring the next portion of this video. Whatever fascinates you, Wondrium is your brain's playground to find thousands of amazing and engaging video courses ranging from art to history to travel to math to food to psychology and much, much more, all taught by actual factual experts. Maybe you'd like to learn about shocking psychological studies taught by a university professor and get the scoop on several controversial experiments that were conducted in the 20th century. Viewer discretion is advised. Or maybe you just want to learn how to make a flippin' croissant from an executive pastry chef. That looks good. As for your boy, I'm taking my first trip to Italy soon and want to understand the historical significance behind the places I'm going to visit. So I'm taking a class called Virtual Venice, taught by a history professor from the University of Toronto. I call him Dr. Ken. One cool factoid I learned is that the English word embroiled comes from the orchard or broglio in the Doge's palace. Thanks, Dr. Ken. Wondrium is where you find the answers to everything you've ever wondered about and some things you've never imagined you would wonder about, like the word embroiled. Wondrium is giving FJ viewers a stunning offer of a free trial. Subscribe to Wondrium now. Your mind is gonna love this place. Sign up for your free trial at wondrium.com/frankjames or visit the link in the description below to start your free trial today. Thanks to Wondrium for sponsoring that part of my video. Now, back to my regular content. If you aren't too familiar with the cognitive functions, that's okay, but we're gonna be talking about them a bit today, and I think you'll get a deeper understanding of what we're talking about if you understand the functions. So, if you want, check out this Introduction to the Cognitive Functions video in the card above my head. Just as a quick reference, this is like a visual representation of the cognitive functions for a type. So you have your dominant, secondary, your third function, and the inferior function. These two are the non-preferred functions of a type. So a type is always going on these top two ones, and these two at the bottom, not so much their favorite thing, especially not the inferior. Starting off, ESFPs get a bad rap for not being very forward-thinking, maybe a bit too live in the moment, which comes from their dominant extroverted sensing and their secondary introverted feeling. But the truth is that these types, the ESFPs, are obsessed with putting together a plan to have control over their lives and fulfill their long-term goals. They want to find a path and they want to start working towards it. The problem that ESFPs have is they get caught in a cycle of believing that having more and more fun experiences, the SEFI, will enlighten them to the nature of their long-term path. So, for example, an ESFP might say to themselves, hey, in 10 years, I could be running my own theater company on Broadway if I just start working at it a little bit at a time. Or I could just keep exploring different roles and maybe an easier or better opportunity will come along and show me that having a theater company was the wrong path. So they never feel like they have enough information or experience to pursue their vision. So they just stay at this stage of being obsessed with thinking about what their path could be. ESTPs, like their ESFP cousins, are also not the biggest future thinkers, often choosing a thrilling experience over a safe outcome thanks to their dominant extroverted sensing and their secondary introverted thinking. But in reality, these types are obsessed with constructing a vision to have control over their lives and fulfill their goals. They want to find their path and then they want to share the valuable things that they learned along the way with others. The problem that ESTPs have with following through on their beliefs is they get caught in the trap of thinking that having additional thrills will somehow just open the doors of their future. For example, an ESTP might say to themselves, hey, in 5 to 7 years, I want to be married, but I don't really know if it makes sense right now to have a serious relationship when there are so many people that I can date. Like the ESFPs, they don't feel like they ever have enough information or experience to pursue their long-term plans. So then their 5-year plan stays perpetually 5 years in front of them. ENFPs are well known for being space cadets, perpetually fascinated with quirky ideas, which comes from their dominant extroverted intuition and secondary introverted feeling. So they're always like, what are all the cool things that I can dream up? But the fact is that these types are actually fixated a lot of the time on creating a routine that will help them build something in the real world. They really crave that structure. The problem ENFPs have is that they get trapped by feeling that having more and more fun ideas about the future is actually the way to get the structure they want. So an ENFP could say, one day I'll run my own coffee shop, but first I should make a daily checklist of things to do to work towards that goal. So let me dream up all the creative and fun things to put on my checklist. Let's see, first thing on the checklist, think of things to put on the checklist. And then, guess what? They never actually make a useful checklist or routine because they remain perpetually at the brainstorming stage. ENTPs, like their ENFP cousins, are well known for puzzling over novel ideas, which comes from their dominant extroverted intuition and secondary introverted thinking. But the truth is that these types are preoccupied with creating structure in their lives that will free them up to be of service to others. The problem is that ENTPs get trapped in a spiral of overthinking. They keep saying, oh, there's a better solution to this problem of structuring my life. So for example, an ENTP could say to themselves, dude, I am going to create an awesome board game that all my friends are going to love. But instead of just setting aside an hour every night to actually map out the game, they spend the time puzzling new options and possibilities, manifesting an obsessive weirdness about something they never actually complete. ESFJs have a persistent reputation for being people-pleasing or even a little needy, which comes from their dominant extroverted feeling and secondary introverted sensing. In reality, these types are fascinated by what they want to do, how they want to do it, and why. But they get trapped by the feeling that if other people don't approve of what they want to do, they can't do it, even if it means that the ESFJ is doing stuff that they think is entirely illogical. For example, an ESFJ might really want to travel to Venice. They want to see the Doge's palace because they are fascinated with medieval history. But instead of just booking a ticket and going, they have to go to their friends and be like, hey, do you like Venice? Do you want to go with me? And their friend is like, nah, I'd rather go to Copenhagen. Then the ESFJ is like, okay, let's do that instead. Even though I have no interest in Copenhagen and it makes no sense for me to go there when all I really want to do is go to Venice. So then the ESFJ is just perpetually grinding their gears on the stuff that they wanted to do that makes sense to them. ENFJs, like their ESFJ cousins, are well known for being people-pleasing and maybe a bit all up in your business, which comes from their dominant extroverted feeling and secondary introverted intuition. But truthfully, these types are captivated by the stuff they want to get done for themselves and maybe some new ways of doing it. The problem ENFJs have, like the ESFJs, is that they could feel like they can't do their own thing their way unless others give it a stamp of approval. An ENFJ might want to try to train for their first marathon, but instead of just doing it by themselves, they might go around telling everyone why fitness is so important and how everyone can overcome difficult challenges. They may never get beyond the fascination stage because they haven't sold the value of the idea to everyone else. ESTJs are well known for being assertive, confident, maybe bossy, which comes from their dominant extroverted thinking and secondary introverted sensing. But in reality, these types are enthralled by their feelings, especially about future possibilities. The problem that ESTJs have is that they get locked into a cycle of thinking that instructing more and more people towards getting things done will allow them to somehow eventually follow their own heart. For example, an ESTJ might say, yo, Timmy, this Coldplay concert coming up is something that's really important to me. I just can't miss it. And now that I have told you this, you now need to work 70 hours a week so that I can take a day off, or else you're being really inconsiderate and unfair. They don't ever believe that they have gotten enough effort from others to be able to just do the things that they care about, resulting in a weird obsession with it. ENTJs, like their ESTJ cousins, are known for being forceful, efficient, maybe a little bit domineering, which comes from the dominant extroverted thinking and secondary introverted intuition. But really, folks, these types are fascinated by what they think is important in reality. The problem is ENTJs get stuck in a cycle of thinking that robotically getting a bunch of people to get a bunch of tasks checked off of a list is somehow going to make them happy. For example, an ENTJ might say, I really care about coffee. I love coffee. It's a physical thing that I have emotions for. So then they create a business to sell coffee, and they get so wrapped up in creating an efficient company that they get burnt out and never really get to just enjoy a cup of coffee by themselves. But at the end of the day, that emotional connection to that experience of having a cup of coffee is what they are fascinated with. ISFJs are known for their organizing and their caring demeanor, which comes from their dominant introverted sensing and secondary extroverted feeling. Under the surface, though, these types are fascinated by all the random possibilities that can help them solve the problems that personally matter to them. But they get locked in a cycle of feeling that doing the same thing day in and day out, that will somehow allow me to find creative new possibilities. For example, an ISFJ might be fascinated by thinking up the different ways their life could go if they just picked up a new skill. But then they'll think, well, if I want to learn something new, I can schedule it around my various commitments and somehow fit it into my existing routine that, by the way, has no flexibility. They don't feel like it's right to deviate from their established structure to seek novelty, and in doing so, they remain forever fascinated with that. ISTJs, like their ISFJ cousins, are known for being super organized, but where they differ is their competence. That's right. That's right, ISFJs are incompetent. No, what I mean is the TE, that's about getting stuff done. So, what I mean is that secondary TE, that's what's helping out the dominant SI to really get stuff done. Secretly, these types are fascinated by the idea of exploring cool new possibilities. The problem that ISTJs have is that they believe that just getting their work done and going over the same stuff over and over will eventually allow them to somehow discover something cool one day. For example, an ISTJ might say to themselves, I want to expand my sci-fi book collection. I want to see what crazy fictional worlds are out there. But then they get a book that is by an author who the ISTJ has read 25 of their books already. They aspire to that novelty. They really want it, but they never really engage with many new things, so they're always fixated on it. ISTPs, they're seen as some of the most withdrawn thinkers, often choosing to isolate themselves and tinker on their own projects thanks to their dominant introverted thinking and secondary extroverted sensing. But for real, these types are obsessed with creating something that other people will go, dude, we love that. You've created something valuable. You have changed the world. As standoffish as these types can be, they really want to find people who respect the work they've done. The problem that ISTPs have is that they get caught in a cycle of believing that if they just keep learning more and more, taking in new information and perfecting the thing that they are working on, then people will just naturally gravitate towards them like a moth to the flame. So, for example, an ISTP might say to themselves, hey, I've been trying to design a new motorcycle engine, but I don't really know if any company out there is gonna care. But instead of figuring out if their idea has any value to begin with, any FE value to everyone else, they'll just be like, well, if I make this motorcycle engine absolutely perfect, then everyone will have to like it. If I think it's great and it solves a problem, then I don't understand why other people wouldn't like it. So they remain fascinated with creating something that will make a huge impact on the world, but their projects are never really perfect enough for them. INTPs. Like their ISTP cousins, are more withdrawn thinkers, locking themselves away to work on their pet projects thanks to their dominant introverted thinking and secondary extroverted intuition. Really though, these types are obsessed with bringing an idea or product to the world that people will take seriously. They really want to make the world a better place in a practical way. The problem that INTPs have is that they just keep thinking up more and more different ways to solve a problem without ever really checking in with the world to see if any of their ideas are practical or if anyone will care about them. So for example, an INTP might say to themselves, hey, I've created a new program to pull data from somewhere and organize it into an easy to use database. I have no idea how to market this to other people, so well, the best way to market something is to have a fantastic product. They don't ever believe that they have the right idea to bring to the world, and this drives them to their weird obsession to just keep thinking up new ways of solving the problem. ISFPs are often seen as being a bit flighty and a little too wrapped up in their own feelings, which comes from the dominant introverted feeling and secondary extroverted sensing. But the fact of the matter is that these types are actually obsessed with directing others towards those big dreams that they have. They want to find their people and start working with them for a better tomorrow. The problem that the ISFPs have is that they get caught in a cycle of believing that just doing what they want to do on their own will somehow draw people in to join them in their aspirations. For example, an ISFP might be like, I really believe in saving abandoned kittens. I really want to bring awareness to this cause so I could find some rescue groups to work with, or I could just keep making memes about kittens crying and post it on Tumblr, which is going to inspire people somehow to follow me. They don't ever feel like they have enough experience connecting to their own values to go find that like-minded community and actually do something. So they just kind of keep thinking about it. Or should I say, they keep feeling about it. INFPs, like the ISFP cousins of theirs, not very practical and a little too in tune with their personal desires, which comes from dominant introverted feeling and secondary extroverted intuition. But these types are actually obsessed with directing others towards those big and practical dreams that they have. They want to find their people and then start working methodically with them to achieve something big. The problem that INFPs have is that they get caught in a cycle of believing that generating more and more cool ideas by themselves will attract people to join them in their journey. For example, an INFP might be like, I have important messages to get across through my music that I'm writing, and I could get out there and, try to work with some musicians and maybe ask some industry experts what I could do to get my work out there, or I could just keep working on my rock opera alone in my room, and maybe one day it will be good enough to put on SoundCloud and somehow get discovered. They don't feel like they have explored enough or created something that fully represents who they are in order to convince people that it's something that they can get on board with. Hence, the weird fascination. It's why you meet so many INFPs and ISFPs who have like these amazing ideas and they just don't do anything with it. INTJs, they're well known for being insightful and efficient, which comes from their dominant introverted intuition and secondary extroverted thinking. But the fact is that these types are captivated by the actual experience of being. They want to have fun new experiences to enrich their insights. The probalo that INTJs have is that they get caught in a trap of thinking that planning out the best way of doing something will help add new experiences to their life. So an INTJ might be like, I want to travel the world, I want to see a bunch of new stuff, I want to see the Doge's Palace in Venice and see the origin of the word embroiled. I just want to have an adventure, yo. So naturally, they spend the next 10 years, it's so ridiculous, they'll just spend the next 10 years planning it out. So instead of jumping in and doing the thing, they will constantly research what to expect when traveling the world. A lot of that comes from the NI, and I just realized that I myself, by watching that course on frickin' Venice that I talked about earlier, I'm doing the same thing. Guys, this personality stuff is real. The INTJs never feel like they have prepared enough to explore and take in new fun experiences, leading them to constantly be obsessed with it. Let me constantly watch, Dr. Ken talk about Venice. INFJs, well known for being insightful and deeply curious about the human condition, which comes from their dominant introverted intuition and secondary extroverted feeling. But the truth is that these types are captivated by having new experiences and learning new things, especially things that are factual and logical, just like how to do something in the real world. The problem that INFJs have is that they get locked in a cycle of feeling that sharing more and more insights with other people will somehow help them add new experiences to their own life. So, for example, an INFJ might say, I want to learn how to fix my computer by myself. I don't want to have to keep taking it to the Geek Squad at Best Buy because I don't really think they know what they're doing either. So then they might go find a few resources on computer repair and just go over that same information over and over again, obsessively trying to, ironically, find the broader principles of computer repair, and then maybe even start to teach their friends about computer repair and how it's like an analogy for believing in yourself or something like that, all without ever actually cracking open the back of the computer and trying to fix it. Speaking of weird, which is the most awkward of the 16 personalities? Watch that video right here. And until next time, stay cool and attractive.